as Emil Shahad has said, this is our first in-person conference that we've had, since COVID. I took over just before COVID, so it was my first as well. It's great to see such a room full of people, and I understand we have over 200 people on Zoom as well. Before I do the conclusion, I'm just going to do a quick summary. It's putting together a conference does take a lot of people. So I want to thank Emil Shahad. I want to thank Dick Berner. They've had the vision of putting this conference together. It's the second crypto assets conference. Hopefully we'll have a third. To run things smoothly, I want to thank Gina Uzbeki, Matthew. He's over there. He's the guy with the microphone, and also Diane Daniels, who has always been great. Our participants, both sitting here and those in the audience, all very busy people, traveled far and near. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your insights. I want to thank Luca. I want to thank Circle for the financial support. Academics, we do depend on outside support to put together these conferences. So why would an accounting research center and a volatility and risk center come together to have this particular conference? Well, for one thing, cryptocurrency in itself, and of course it's all the digital assets, it's an enormous market, right? It's over $1 trillion from what I understand. I don't know how many currencies actually are traded. Depending on the website, it's anywhere between 10,000 and 20,000, which should tell you something about transparency. And it also trades, there's hundreds of markets, as Suzanne, other people were talking about. So the question is, are we viewing a runaway train? And well, I don't know, but I can tell you a few things about these assets, right? They are they're not transparent. There is a new technology, which I don't think we really understand. They're trading in non-regulated markets, and they're held by both sophisticated and unsophisticated investors. So what could go wrong, right? What could go wrong? And that's basically what this conference was about today, to discuss some of the problems and some of the issues. And I can really, to boil it down, and I'm just going to give little bits and pieces what different people said, because so many things were said. So if I left out your favorite thing, I apologize. But basically, I think we can say that there are three major things, right? We spoke about risk and volatility of the markets. We spoke about governance and regulation challenges. And then we spoke about accounting challenges, sorry. So David Yermak, he kicked things off and he spoke about the risk and the uncertainty, and he brought about, crypto winter, debt spirals, bankruptcies, and he gave us some recent illustrations of Terra, Luna, FTX. And just when everyone got so depressed, he showed us, but look, the last month it went up 40%. Okay, but we call that volatility, and I think you would agree. Right? That's why it's called risk and volatility. Our next four speakers really spoke about the erosion of trust and what type of governance and regulation we can put in to try to, build up the trust. So Greg Johnson, he kind of spoke about the big picture. We had dinner yesterday. He's a very big picture person. And he said that there's a lack of trust for all institutions, right? Not just cyber. And then Hillary Allen, she was very critical. She said that the blockchain technology is not an adequate protection to consumers and to investors. Carolyn Wilkins, who gave us the keynote speech, she talked about governance, but she gave us a framework for self-governance, whereas the other speakers, Matt Homer, actually Greg Johnson and Hillary Allen also agreed that we can have some type of outside regulation that might be appropriate. And then there was a very interesting discussion with a question that Dick gave us, which is about whether regulation itself, outside regulation, would give crypto a legitimacy, which can then hurt unsophisticated investors. So it's very complicated. Then we had our plenary speaker, and that was Dante Desponte, again an alumnus, and he continued the discussion on trust. But he also told us this is a young and nascent industry. And I think he did make a very good point in which he said, don't take down the full crypto market because of a few, frauds and bankruptcies that we've recently seen. I thought that was very good advice. And then finally, we had the accounting group, my personal favorite, being an accounting professor. And there was a lot of discussion, so I'm only going to bring a few things in. So I think Christine Bodison gave us the big picture. And she said that you cannot write accounting standards without understanding the economics. That's very comforting. Thank you. She also gave an intriguing question that a lot of people spoke about, which should standard setting be ahead of the market or should it be behind the market? I think that's a very, very good question. But she also said that, and this was, as she said several times, that when the FASB agenda, it's not just about getting a number on the balance sheet, but there's also going to be a discussion about disclosures and what's the appropriate type of disclosures that investors should want to know. Ed McGee, he also, he didn't look at a lot of things, but he opined about the labeling because a lot of the accounting has to do with the labeling and the valuation. And he said this doesn't feel like an intangible asset. I think we all can agree. And he said one of the problems is that if you can mark things up and down, how are you going to have valuation and how are you going to have the exit value? And then the panel spoke about some of the challenges. And just to bring a few, Suzanne Mossfield spoke about the quality of the markets. What is the principal market? What is somebody willing to pay for it? I think that's a very good question. And Michael Gonzalez said, well, does the asset even exist? Like in other words, you even own the asset, who has the custody? And that's a very, big part of ownership as well. So I want to thank everybody. I hope everyone found this fun and interesting, and let's have lunch.